will start with the measure to control food adulterations. What should be the measures? What should be the measure to control the food adulterations? As we know that there are various food chains and certain food industries, certain scientific community, as well as consumers. All these classifications should have certain care to be taken, or I will give a best approaches throughout the food chain involved in all stakeholders, statutory and regulatory authorities, industries, then scientific community, consumers, or you can say end users. Now, through regular update of information regarding this reported outbreaks of the food safety issue pertaining to food adulterations. Okay, so we will start with the role of statutory and regulatory authority. First, stipulating the practically feasible rules, requirements, and regulation on the adulteration and updating them at regular interval. Because sometimes what happens, there are a large number of chemicals is produced and researched by the many consumers as well as manufacturers. So in food, there is a continuous research is going on. So to kept against or to retard these adulterations, we have to update ourselves too. The stringent monitoring of the implementation is also necessary. Sometimes what happens, there are rules and regulations are there, but due to the certain problems, there is stringent monitoring or implementation is required to retard this adulteration. Then regular interaction with the industries those industries these are concerned. You have to interaction with this. Otherwise, the statutory and regulatory authority should have a role, but some in-between ways are also possible. So to check this, it is required. Then another is the role of industries. There are to feel a more ethical and moral responsibility as a food business operator to supply serve wholesome food to the society. It is also required. Then regular updates on the process and you can say allergens related outbreaks in the world as well as in the country. That should be okay, very good. The risk assessment. Now what is risk assessment? That you know, this is the one whole lecture is required, but I will tell you probability into severity, that is called risk assessment. For all the ingredients, additives and processing aids and processing tactics, this is variety of this adulteration is required, and frequent testing of vulnerable ingredients is required. Additives and processing aid for positive clearance. This is the variety of allergens are possible. Then third party auditing is also necessary to process, to identify or existing. There may be a certain lacuna in the process also, lacuna in the identification process also. There may be man-made mistakes there. So to retard this, industry should do a third-party auditing of the process. And then role of scientific community. There are major roles of the scientific community. There are number of research station as well as government authorities are working in this to develop or validate the simple and quick authenticate test. To scan the ingredients, food additives, processing aids for the positive clearance. Sometimes what happens when you are developing certain methods that may adopted in our regions, but some persons are utilizing another method, so the result may vary. So to validate that simple and quick and authenticate test with the Codex standard or FSSAI standard is required. Okay, and this is, before that it has to be tested with the NABL. Okay, to share the knowledge with the statutory bodies and industries is also required. Okay, this is the role of scientific community, but you have to write these points only. No need to go in depth. This is the objectives. The role of consumers or end users. Proper understanding of adulteration related issues is required. To know the there are differences. Okay, to know differences between the natural and aesthetic attributes or texture or appearance and taste of the food and accepting the natural ones to the extent possible. Okay, this is all about the measure to or control measure or to retards, and what are the objectives these foods require this. Now, law preventing adulterations. There are laws in India, so we are dealing with the Indian. Nowadays, TRIPS agreement is there, WTO is there, Codex standard is there. Okay, so export-import standard, yes, of the various countries to prevent adulterations. And sometimes, as I said in previous lecture, that it is not possible to deal with all, but there should be good agriculture practices. Okay. So, law preventing adulteration, the government of India has promulgated an act called Prevention of Food Adulteration Act in 1954. Now, it is upgraded into FSSAI Act. Okay, Food Safety and Standard Authority of India has developed an act. So, FSSAI Act is dealing with this and has periodically amendment from 2016 to 2019 to check the, okay, the act has periodically amended to check the dishonest practices of traders. If traders violated the standard mentioned in the act, they are punishable under the law, as I said previous. Okay, the quality contributing agency like ISI, now Indian Standard Institutions and Directorate of Marketing and Inspections, that is agriculture based, for example egg mark. Okay, this test food product for the quality periodically. Now another FPO. FPO means Food Processing Organization and local health department in the corporation jurisdiction also conduct periodical surveys and issue certificates. As we see in the Rajkot, Dr.P.J. is doing good jobs in the these things. Okay, so all the packet containing food products must carry ISI, egg mark and FPO stamps. Now it is already changed, so you need not to go in depth. Now food contaminants. This is the new topics and I will tell you how it is possible. Now first, what is food contaminants? Food contaminants refers to the foods that are spoiled or drained because they either contain microorganisms and such as bacteria or parasite or toxic substances that make them unfit for consumption. Food represents a part of the global environment which can be contaminated by the chemicals for many different sources. Following their release to the environment, for example, soil, sediments, water, air, these are the sources. Okay. Another chemical contaminant. Chemical contaminant can enter the plant plants and animal at the bottom of the food chain, which are consumed by the animal higher. The chemical contained in these animals and plants can enter our bodies when we consume them as a food. For example, meat, dairy product, fish, vegetables, fruits. Food contaminant event either accidentally or intentionally. That may result in national issues of immediate concern. Especially, these events leads to a illness or death or give a perception that this food cause or this food chain route of contamination is especially important for chemicals that persist accumulate in the environment, such as DDT and PCBs and brominated flame retardants. All are bad. Okay, now it is banned in our regions. Packaging and processing may also introduce the chemical into our food products. For example, perfluorinated chemicals used in grease-proof packaging for fast foods. Okay, so that should be our data, and there are ways to retard this. Now, food contamination can be microbial or environmental, with the former being more common environmental contaminant that can enter the food supply chain. Okay, that can enter the food supply chain. That food supply chain includes pesticides, heavy metals, other chemical agents. Many opportunities exist for the food to become a contaminant. It is produced and distributed to start with the bacteria present in the animal raised for foods. Meat, poultry can become contaminated during the slaughter through the cross-contaminating from the intestinal fecal matter. Similarly, fresh fruits and vegetables can be contaminated when they are washed using water, contaminated with the animal manures too, or human being, those who are dealing with this. Okay, during food processing, contamination is also possible from infected person or infected person, those who are handling their food. That is also. So lastly, I say is the properly hygienic condition is required in home as well as in all the food chain handlers. Okay, the food contaminant can be grouped into three broader categories. What are three broader categories? Stages of food contaminations can be possible through this stair. Okay, for example, opportunity for food contaminating introductions occur at many levels of food chain, including production, transport, storage, processing, distributions, food service, and consumers. Various stages during which contamination can take place in the food industries. Inputs to farm, the farm to transport to food processor to transport, that is from import or exports. There also a container is required. Then finally it enters into the restaurant, and the restaurant they are various handlers making the cooking. So finally it comes into your dish as a consumers. So these are the contaminant waste. So everyone should be checked, and food can be contaminated at any point from farm inputs to consumers. Okay. So these are the contaminants. Now we will complete with this.